Well, the breaking news right now, if you want to call it breaking at this point, I mean, it was done so fast. I don't think there could have been a breaking on it. In fact, it's kind of actually funny how upset everyone is after the fact, even though they got nothing to say about it now, is that Maduro was captured. Venezuela is taken over, sort of, kind of. We'll kind of get into that. And it's nice to be back in the studio, or sort of, I guess. Still working on some things. Welcome back to the Ripple Effect. So to start off with, apparently it's like the best ever takeover of a country if you could possibly do that. And I think there's some kind of key things that a lot of people are targeting in on is the fact that they didn't actually just like take it over. They basically took him, Maduro specifically, and then turned it over to his VP, and his VP is running things, which again kind of means they took it over because the VP is not going to do anything that's going to spark a problem with America, as America would just simply take over again. I think the funny part is, apparently it took like 88 minutes from the time they actually went in to getting out. It was 88 minutes. The actual process was something like 4.5 hours or whatever, but the actual going in and out. And there's a message here, and the message really, and I think some people are missing this, and the message is that you don't mess around in our hemisphere kind of deal, right? I think the most important part is China. So China, this is the good one. China apparently had their representatives there in town, like in one of the hotels or whatever, right there, a delegation to meet with Maduro, and they were there when the attack happened, and we took Maduro. The biggest thing behind this is that Trump had been saying for a while, and here's the other thing that people forgot about, is that other tanker that Trump took was a tanker that was specifically for China. Like, it was a tanker of oil for China. Something like 70% of the stuff coming out of Venezuela goes to China because of the fact that they need it so desperately. They have destroyed their natural resources and destroyed their country, and they need it from somewhere else, and so they're coming in. This was like the biggest middle finger to China and Russia you could possibly have. We thought Iran was good, right? When he did Iran, we thought that was a good warning to them, but apparently that was not enough. They still wanted to mess around. They still wanted to come over into our hemisphere. They still wanted to do all this junk. And then they found out. And the icing on the cake is the fact that Venezuela was using Russian military tech and Chinese military tech to defend themselves against America. And it took 88 minutes to remove Maduro and his wife. It was so fast, he couldn't even make it to his bunker, his little lockup room. They knew how many pets he had, which pets he had, and what kind of food he likes. If you're a dictator out there, you should be terrified of saying anything against America. Not saying anything against America. And here's the funniest part. I mean, I guess I should mention this. The funniest part about this whole thing is that Maduro had like 400 opportunities to get off this crazy train. He had 400 opportunities where they kept giving him chances and chances and chances. And I don't know what he was relying on. I don't know what he was thinking. It wasn't like China was going to come save him. It wasn't like Russia was going to save him. So what was he thinking? What were you thinking doing this? And it's kind of comical that Trump went to the point of having the FBI there, law enforcement there to arrest him. It's like the military supporting the law enforcement. The coolest part behind all this was, while this was happening, the night of this, or not the night of it happening, but as we were in DC, I was actually in DC the night that it happened, or leaving DC the night that it happened. And for a second there, for a very small second, I thought, well, that'd be really cool if because we were looking at the White House, right? We're looking at the White House. I'm like, well, how cool would that be if he had been in the Situation Room while we were there looking at the White House, thinking, this is cool. This is a cool, moment. And then our hopes were dashed. Well, apparently he was in Mar-a-Lago, so he was not at the White House, but it was cool to see all the stuff. And I can personally firsthand attest that just like he swept up Maduro, he swept up DC. DC is very clean, very nice. The National Guard is everywhere and makes the place look safe. It honestly does. We were very, very, very happy. It was it was quiet because it's cold right now, but it was clean, safe, did not give you a feeling of overbearing. It wasn't, the military was not untactful. It was very, very good. And I even talked to one of the National Guards guys, and he was very friendly, obviously. And they didn't seem threatened from, the previous attack that happened. So all I got for you right now is Trump did a good job. He did it. And I think that this is the best thing that could ever happen to China. Why? Because I keep mentioning this over and over again. Sorry, I'm a little tired. It's been a journey. We've been traveling nonstop. But I keep mentioning it over and over again that China is reaching out everywhere because they don't have the resources that they need to beat us. And if we allow them to control the resources in all of these areas, and especially in our backyard, what kind of fools are we? And on my final note, and I'll say this because I think Trump needs a PR guy. He needs a PR guy that says, Trump, tell me what you're going to say, okay? And I'll rephrase it. Trump's up there and he's like, okay. I'm not going to do the Trump voice, sorry. Not gonna happen. But he's like, the oil, and we're gonna get the oil, and we're gonna get the oil, and you can just kind of see Rubio's face, and he's just like, oh, that's not the message we're trying to get across here. And I think Trump's fixated on that because he thinks it's gonna bring wealth to America, and then he thinks that that's what's gonna make people happy. Really, I'm very happy that we got rid of the drug dealer guy. Great. And I think it was kind of interesting that the person in what's her name? The one in Mexico came out and was saying something about it. And he's like, well, you're just being run by the cartels. And it's almost like, wink, wink, you better get yourself in order. So here's Trump saying all this oil stuff. And he's like, we're going to bring in the corporations and it's going to be great. And we're going to do all these things and we're going to get so much money out of it. And instead it's just like, what you need to say it is, Maduro destroyed the economy of his country. We are going to allow the American companies to come in and rebuild the infrastructure and rebuild at their own cost all of these oil industries in this country to help make this country rich and valuable to the world again. Just like we rebuilt Japan and made it a steel industry area of the world after World War II. And those people in Venezuela deserve that. They do, okay? We are responsible, and I don't care what people say is, international law and all this junk. No. Someone has to run an empire. Someone does. Someone's going to be in charge. Someone's going to be the boss. Someone's going to be in control. And we have the choice right now, because we are the biggest ones out there, to choose whether we're going to do it or not. And all these idiots that are coming out now saying that this is an America first or just don't even know what they're talking about. They're foolish and stupid. And they need to get over themselves. There's nothing more America first than protecting everyone in our area, everyone in our hemisphere, controlling what happens in our backyard. You're a fool if you don't. And all the other countries down in Southern America that are playing hanky-panky with China right now and hanky-panky with Russia, watch yourself. Because hopefully, I'm not even saying maybe you'll be next, hopefully you'll be next. Hopefully. Because here's the thing. These people have voted in some cases, especially like Venezuela, voted in people who don't believe all this garbage and nonsense, but they're not in. Machado, right? This the lady that got the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, the only reason why she's not in charge right now is because she doesn't have the backing of the military. And instead of, again, masterful move by Trump, and I don't like lauding Trump because I think he does some absolutely junky things, but masterful move by Trump. He left the pseudo powers in charge that had control of the military so that we're not really boots on the ground and we're not really controlling it by might of our military forces per se actively. Wow, who saw that coming? And this is something that commentators were pointing out. Before, we would just sit there and go, we're going to put this guy in charge. We're going to put this guy in charge. And we bring these people in that maybe these great, democratic people, but have no control over the military. And then we have to sit there and just control everything for so long. And the moment we let go of control, it all falls apart like Afghanistan. I don't know where he got that brilliance from, but good on you. That was smart. That was very, very, very intelligent. And that's how we should do this. And now slowly transition the country back over to the people that it needs to have and help it to run itself properly. And this is the part that drives me nuts, is about people pulling away from God's word in the Bible, is that they say, well, people should be able to just do whatever they want. No. Okay, no. We don't just get to do whatever we want. We have rules and laws, and we have things that matter. And I say rules and laws. I'm not talking about the rules and laws of the international courts or even our courts. I'm talking about God's laws and God's rules. And so when we have those things, it matters what happens to our neighbor. And who is your neighbor, right? It matters what happens to the people around you. And you don't get to just sit back and say, I'm not going to do anything about it. And what's one of the saddest things is I hope it's changing in our country, but because people are so much online, they feel so comfortable being crappy online that they act crappy in real life. And then when someone does something nasty, there's not people to stand up and say no. Well, finally we have someone standing up and saying no. And I couldn't be more proud of the president right now. That's my message. I know it's a short one. Sorry, it's been a long week. It's been a very long 2 weeks of vacation, and hopefully we're back to a normal schedule at this point. And thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. I think we're at 98 subscribers, so let's get to 100. Let's go. Thank you.